Salem as a villain has hardly even been featured and touched upon in the series of RWBY. And well, I don't particularly like that. So we're going to take a look at Salem and crack her shell and figure out what's up with her. Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land, Jake of the OneManBand is back again. And today we're going to be talking about the big baddie of the RWBY universe, Salem. Now, what we know of Salem is that she's the mastermind behind the Chaos Syndicate, Cinder, and whatever nefarious plans and plots that they have going on at the moment. We know that she has vast amounts of knowledge, all pertaining to the Silver-Eyed Warriors, the relics left behind by the twin gods, and of course, the maidens and their respectable powers. She also seems to have quite a bit of knowledge about Ozpin, as well as having some form of rivalry or hatred of Ozpin. We also know that she seems to have some sort of form of control or communication over the creatures of Grimm. And of course, we all have theorized that she is based off of the character, the Wicked Witch of the West from the Wizard of Oz. Sort of like the opposing force to the Wizard of Oz, which we know Ozpin is based off of. But despite all that information, we really know nothing about her. We don't know how old she is, we don't know why she looks the way she looks, we don't understand why she hates humanity so much, and we don't even know how she has the power to control the creatures of Grimm. So, with this much amount of information just left to speculation, well, I was forced to think. I sat down and really started to think about what makes Salem, Salem. Why is she like this, and how did she become this way? Now, a lot of people have speculated that maybe Salem is some sort of embodiment of the God of Darkness. Maybe she's some sort of avatar for him. Maybe she's sort of on the opposite spectrum of the Wizard being the ultimate being of light, and her being the ultimate being of darkness, and I may make a video about those speculations later on. But this time, I'm going to be giving you guys a theory of my own. A theory that will explain where Salem has come from and why she is the way she is. Now, I'm going to be going off of the assumption that Salem is based off of the Wicked Witch of the West, and using the information from the Wizard of Oz novels, stories, movies, and all other related media, we know that the Wicked Witch of the West wasn't always bad. There was a time where she was just a simple girl named RWBY who had great magical potential. And I believe that Salem and RWBY share some very similar type of origin story. Now, if you don't know the origin story or the story about RWBY, the Wicked Witch of the West, I suggest you guys go and look that up for yourself because I can't explain it all that well. The most that I can say is that RWBY wanted to do good. She wanted to do good, but due to the circumstances that she was born into, she was looked at being some form of monster, and was thus sort of forced into the monster role, adopting it due to the fact that everyone else already saw her as one. So I believe that with Salem, it's a lot of the same. She became a villain because everybody else in the world looked at her as a villain. So let's start at the beginning. We all know that humans were the creations of both the brother of light and the brother of darkness, the twin gods that crafted the world of Remnant. And since they were creations of both of these beings, is it not too difficult to think that some humans may be more prone to the darkness while others are more prone to the light? Some may have more of that influence of the darkness or light set upon them. And that's what I believe happened to Salem. Salem was born to a simple family with a strong connection to the darkness, the dark side of humanity. And I believe she was also born an albino. This would explain her pale complexion and her red eyes. She was born an albino human and was seen as some sort of freak of nature, something that maybe brought upon bad luck. We don't know if she was born in maybe in one of the kingdoms or in one of the villages outside of the kingdoms, of a village that was probably more prone to superstition than others. Now, although a majority of her village shunned and probably hated her due to her appearance, and maybe they knew of maybe she had a more darker connection to the dark side of humanity, little Salem still wanted to do good. She had, even though her outward appearance was strange and scary, I believe she had a heart of gold, and she wanted to do good and help people. I mean, when you're shunned by so many people, you want them to like you. You want to have people see that all you want to do is just to be like them. You want to be accepted by people. And this is what I think led Salem to wanting to help people. And maybe even to trying to be a huntress. Now, obviously, Salem couldn't go through her entire life with having nobody on her side. She obviously had some people who either took pity or saw past her complexion and dark outward appearance to see the golden-hearted child that was at the center. So she obviously had help by some people. Who those people may be, I'm not sure. Whether it may have been her parents, maybe some siblings, or maybe even some nice people in the village. But she did have some form of support. And through this support, she continued to trying to be kind and help people, and which led her to wanting to become a huntress. And in doing so, when unlocking her aura, she discovered her semblance. A very strong, very rare semblance, never before seen in a human being. Due to Salem's close connection to the darkness, she was able to either communicate and control the creatures of Grimm. Using this power, she was able to stop and maybe even full out prevent attacks of the creatures of Grimm on her village. Yet, where many people would see this as a good thing, a majority of the people in the village saw her as a demon, as a witch, as some sort of evil creature that was more akin to the creatures of Grimm than to humanity, due to the fact that she was able to communicate and control them. Now, although she was shunned by her village even more due to this, the huntsman saw this and saw that it was a great and terrible power. A power that, if used correctly, could be used to wipe out the creatures of Grimm entirely. Thus enters the wizard. The wizard, if you will. Pretty much Salem's version of the wizard, a young Ozpin. Ozpin, I believe, had just recently become a huntsman, and he was probably traveling the land, and he came across this young girl that had this amazing power. And what he saw in this girl was tons and tons of potential, and the potential to do good. And in seeing that, he took Salem with away from her village back to the Huntsman Academies to be trained as a huntress. Now, since Ozpin may have been next in line to become the headmaster of Beacon Academy, he was privy to information about the relics, about the gods, about the maidens, about the silver-eyed warriors. And since Salem was such a close confidant of his, he then passed that information to her as well, because he knew that she would be of great help. She, along with him, would create a better world for humanity. Yet, other people didn't see her in quite the same light as Ozpin. Others would try to sabotage her, discourage her, and maybe even flat out hate her just by her outward appearance. And as Salem started to grow up, she maybe actually formed animosity towards some of these people. She was no longer the bright-eyed, wide-eyed child that she was. She was now either a teenager or a young adult, and she was starting to see that people are not going to change. People are not going to like me no matter what I do. But Ozpin always told her that she will do good. She will always do good. And she always held on to Ozpin's philosophy that she would be able to do good, and together they would do great things for the world of Remnant, which is a complete mirror to how the Wizard of Oz and Elphaba had their relationship. Yet, there's another mirror between those two that happened. Ozpin, at least at some point, started to use Salem and her abilities to only further his own goals. She became a tool to him. And in doing so, Salem, maybe not seeing it at first, but eventually saw what Ozpin was doing and saw it as the greatest betrayal of her life. The person that took her out of torment in the village, perhaps even her mentor at the Huntsman Academies, had turned against her, and she saw him as nothing but an arrogant fool.
She was right about you. Such arrogance.
This may have led to a falling out between the two, which finally drove Salem to abandoning the Huntsman Academies and completely running away from Ozpin, never to return. Now, Ozpin at first may not have seen the error of his ways, but eventually through time he would. This would translate into the quote which he tells RWBY in Volume 1.
RWBY, I've made more mistakes than any man, woman, and child on this planet.
That, my dear friends, his betrayal of Salem, was the greatest mistake he ever made. Someone with such power, someone with such potential that needed to be nurtured and cared for, wasn't. And in doing so, she ran away, turning her back to humanity, and pretty much saw that the creatures of Grimm, maybe she finally believed what everyone was saying about her all this time, that she was closer to the creatures of Grimm than she was to humanity. And so she adopted the philosophy that since everyone sees me as wicked, since everyone sees me as a monster, then that's what I'll be, because it's the only thing that I can be. And in doing so, she would help bring down the Huntsmen who had betrayed her and making humanity suffer for what all they have done. She would use the knowledge that she had gained from Ozpin about the relics, about the gods, the maidens, and the silver-eyed warriors to start a shadow war against Ozpin himself. And since Ozpin needed to keep the rest of the kingdoms in line, keep all the huntsmen still going, he couldn't flat out tell everyone of his grand mistake. So this began the Shadow War between Ozpin and Salem, which finally culminated at the Battle of Beacon, where Ozpin finally fell and Salem got her first major victory. But hey, those are just my thoughts, and the real question is, what do you guys think? Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, thank you for watching this theory video. I really liked this theory. I actually liked getting down and thinking about Salem, because Salem's a very mysterious character and I want to know more about her. But, so, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this theory. Be sure to leave comments down below if you have any sort of comments. Subscribe to the channel if you feel inclined to. Follow links in the description taking you to my Twitter page, my Patreon page. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors, by the way, and of course to other videos that I've done. So, until next time, my friends, I want you to be a good person, tip your waitresses, keep moving forward, and I'll see you next time I'm out there in YouTube land. I'll see you then. Yeah!